All right, what is going on, everybody? Long time no see. We are finally back with this review for chapter 73, I believe. Now, I know I missed chapter 72, the one with Jericho and all that, because I was in Florida. As I don't know if any of you seen the live stream, I was talking about it there, and I think I made a community post about it. But before I get into chapter 73, I will give like my really brief thoughts on the Jericho stuff before I hop into this, because I do have some things to say that I feel like people aren't paying attention to about the entire scenario, the stuff with Jericho that happened in 72. Um, Obviously, I think it's mad weird. Like, to no surprise, I think it's mad weird that Nakaba would even go this route in general with Jericho's character. However, I think the really, really big important thing to remember here is that Arthur does manipulate people. Anyone who has come into contact with Arthur has been changed or manipulated to some degree. We even see this where Varghese was talking about it briefly in like one of the little side chapters that he had. If you remember, Ardberg was very different from how he was after meeting King Arthur. So I do believe that whatever run-in Jericho had with Arthur, he may have manipulated her feelings for Lancelot into what they are now, like pretty much perverse them in every sense of the word. And I know a lot of people will scream copium and no, she's just weird, and she fell in love with him over that whole time skip thing when they went through that portal. But I feel like one really really important thing to remember about Lancelot and Jericho is that Lancelot can read hearts. So if at any point while they were together he would have known this, he would have legitimately known that she had these romantic feelings for him. And since that he's so shocked by it when she talks to him about it, that this clearly was never a thing. At least that's how I interpret it. Because Lancelot would have known, because he can read hearts. So I mean, it's not like Jericho's a master at like hiding her true intentions or emotions or feelings or anything. So I'm not about to say all of that. So I'm gonna just say Lancelot would have known. So I that's why I believe Arthur is manipulating her to some degree. That's like my overall thoughts on that. Still weird though. But into chapter 73, sorry about that. I just really wanted to say that in case anybody was like really, really curious. But into chapter 73, this chapter was hype. It's the fight between, Percival Tristan, Gawain against Meligaland. I guess that's what they're calling the fusion of Galland and Melascula. Meligaland, really ugly name, honestly. They just low effort, whatever. But anyway, I think this fight is really interesting because there's a lot of interesting scaling. Not that I'm a power scaler, but there's a lot of interesting like feats wise that you can look at, and it doesn't push the story along super hard in this chapter, but it's still kind of interesting nonetheless. So I think one of the really big things about this chapter is we see that like they're basically, if you were to think of it in a 1v1 scenario, none of them really seem to be a match for this fusion chaos demon at all. Like Percival is just getting pushed around. Gawain can kind of block the attacks, but as we've seen when Tristan did his like falling star attack, Meligalan is using some type of technique or ability to kind of just avoid all damage. Now they do like wonder what kind of technique this is. I personally think it's probably some type of magical ability. I mean, there is the off chance it could just be raw speed, like they could just be dodging every attack, just they could just be that fast. But uh, I just feel like it's going to be some type of weird magical ability or some type of weird secondary effect that is allowing this monster to essentially avoid all damage. Another thing that I think about too with Tristan in this fight is I wonder, is there actually some truth to what Tristan was saying to where he can't maintain his demon form for long? Because I kind of wonder, as we see, he's only using his goddess abilities in this fight. But I kind of wonder if he would go for his demon abilities, would this fight be a lot faster, or would he wrap this up a lot sooner? Or can he actually really not go back into it after using it so soon? Or maybe there are some type of repercussions or reasons why he can't really spam the ability and form all like that. And then one of my favorite moments of the chapter, which is I'm sure is a lot of people's favorite, is this moment where Donnie's like complaining on the sidelines, and then Nansen's like, do you understand like how strong this opponent that they are facing really actually is? And it really kind of puts things into perspective for Donnie, because I don't think that Donnie was like genuinely complaining or genuinely trying to like berate Percival and them for missing attacks or for not being able to like take it out really fast. I think it was like, you almost know like when you're like a fan cheering on like a sport or something, and say like you're watching basketball and they miss a shot, and it's like, come on, you got to make that shot. I think it was more like that. Even knowing like regular people, regular everyday people aren't, shooting threes and jumping from the free throw line and dunking, or throwing 80-yard passes. Well, probably not 80. That's a little ridiculous. But throwing like pinpoint accurate 40-yard passes and that kind of thing. I think it was more of like he was cheering on the side for them to do well, but Danson's kind of took it as him kind of complaining a bit, which leads into Donnie helping later. But this next part with Gawain doing an attack very reminiscent of Escanor's cruel son, doing this move called Sunshine Burst. I was talking to one of my I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this, and they were trying to compare it to Cruel Sun and try to like gauge on which one is stronger or not. Which I would love to know you guys' opinions on which move you guys believe is stronger between Gawain Sunshine Burst or Escanor's Cruel Sun, specifically the one during his fight with Estarossa, either the one that sent him over to where the lake was or the one that he dropped on him to kind of finish him off. We're really talking about those two specific versions of Cruel Sun and the Sunshine Burst right here, because obviously Chaos Gallant or Mela Gallant, whatever you want to call them, should be much stronger than Estarossa was in that moment. However, as you can see here, Sunshine Burst, it does somewhat damage them, but not nearly to the degree that Cruel Sun damaged Estarossa. Like Cruel Sun was like about to just straight up kill Estarossa, while Sunshine Burst kind of only mildly damaged this like Chaos Demon person. So it's like it's kind of hard to gauge which one I personally believe is stronger. Like I kind of feel like the Sunshine Burst would have to be, just because of how much stronger this creature is. But at the same time, Escanor was like pretty much beating Estarossa with this attack like mid low diff, and that's not even at his full power. But then another thing to think about is that this was Escanor going closer and closer to Noon. While I believe Noon has been passed for, where we are at in the story right now for Four Nights of Apocalypse. So, I mean, this is kind of a bit of a huge tangent, but if you do care about that kind of thing, I am curious to know which one you guys believe to be stronger. So after this, we do get the moment where, Percival does escape the clutches of, of Meligalan, and Tristan's trying to save him while, they are trying to still pull him back down. And this is when Donnie steps in, despite Gawain's warnings to stay back because of the passive heat. Donnie does step in and use telekinesis to stop the monster from grabbing Percival, and then throws it out of the way, which I thought was really, really cool for Donnie to still, feel like he can do something, or feel like he wants to do something and try to get involved in the fight, even though he really can't do anything at all. I think it's really impressive that Donnie is even able to hold this thing down. I feel like if you really wanted to get into trying to gauge how strong Donnie's telekinesis is, it's probably all over the place, since he's stopping people that are way, way stronger than he is. It's just really interesting when you really think about it. And then from here, this takes us into the end of the chapter where, Donnie's probably, kind of exhausted from all of the heat, and Gawain passes out from using too much magic in one day. So this definitely leads me to believe that she more than likely does not have anywhere near as much magic as Escanor, and obviously not as much as Merlin because she has Infinity. But these are clearly two characters that she takes a lot after. Another thing to think about with Gawain, though, is she has done a lot today in terms of like, fight Pelgard, multiple teleportation spells, fought against Galen, and now fought against this thing. So I mean, she has kind of done a lot today. You could maybe, if you wanted to, assume that maybe Tristan healed her at some point, but we didn't see that ever happen, so I have no reason to assume that it did. But I can see where some people might say that. So as for where the chapter is going to go next week, or for the very next chapter, I definitely think it's either going to be Tristan is going to power up again and do, whatever his next form is, or another demon mode, and try to take it out all in one shot. Lancelot could come and save everybody, because I'm pretty sure like the stuff with Jericho should be wrapping up about now, so he might be able to come back and save everybody. Or Percival could get like another main character boost or something and then kind of save them. The thing is, I really want it to be either Tristan or Lancelot, because if you remember during the middle of this chapter, when Percival was swinging his sword and it wasn't really doing anything, like the monster was just avoiding it, I kind of want that to be the best that Percival can do in this fight, just because this will give Percival even more motivation to train and get stronger, because obviously we know this monster is going to be beaten. We all know that. But if this fight can leave more of a lasting impression on Percival, it can give him more drive to want to get stronger. Not saying he doesn't already have enough reason as is, but this would be a nice extra driving force to make him want to get stronger. As for other things we still have to worry about, we still know that, Bartra's life is still potentially in danger. Arthur was saying something about him being on his way, so he might be inbound soon. There's a lot of things to think about coming up with everything going on in this chapter. So it could really go a lot of different places, but definitely the conclusion of this fight is what's going to be happening next week for sure. With that, I probably give the chapter like it's probably like a 7. Yeah, probably like a 7 out of a 10. I mean, because they did have some hype moments and stuff if you're really into scaling and all that, but the plot really didn't move really at all, honestly. So there is that to think about as well. Like we didn't get any lore or anything, so there is that. So I think a 7 is a pretty fair score. I think it was pretty decent. Maybe even a 6.5 to be honest with you. Now that I'm like talking it out loud, but let me know you guys' thoughts on the chapter down below. Also, you guys' opinions about what I said in the beginning of the video about Jericho being manipulated by Arthur, because if she did truly have feelings for him during all that time, Lancelot would have knew due to his ability to read hearts. So I think it's more of an Arthur thing and less of a Jericho being weird or being a simp thing. Still, Nakaba is a little wild for writing that in, but I just wanted to say that. With that being said, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in my next video.